The following is a presentation of the City of Miamisburg, celebrating its bicentennial in 2018.
All right, good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to 2017 Mark Twain Elementary D.A.R.E graduation. I'd like to start off by thanking the City of Miamisburg, the Miamisburg City Schools, and the Miamisburg Police Department for all their support of the D.A.R.E program, because without it, the day wouldn't be possible. I'd also like to thank all the parents and relatives that were able to join us here today. I had a great time working with your kids this year. You should be very proud of them because I am. They did a great job in the D.A.R.E program. Some of the topics we discussed, we talked about the dangers of alcohol and tobacco. We talked about good decision-making skills and how to handle peer pressure. We talked about bullying, and then we talked about how to be safe with over-the-counter prescription drugs. Once again, they did a great job, but the goal of this program is for you kids to take what we talked about this year and use it, especially as you grow older and encounter more difficult situations in middle school and high school. We have some people here that came to congratulate you on your accomplishments today. So I'd like to introduce our guests now. We have from the City of Miamisburg, the Mayor, Dick Church. Miamisburg Municipal Court, we have the Judge, Robert Reddick.
Good afternoon.
From the Miamisburg City Schools, we have your Superintendent, Dr. Vale. From the Miamisburg Police Department, we have the Chief of Police, John Sedlak. Also from the City of Miamisburg, we have the Assistant City Manager, Tom Thompson. And of course, you know your principal, Mrs. Lee Marker. And our guests would like to say a few words to you, and we'll begin with Mayor Church.
Thank you, Officer Doug. 21 years we've been doing this. 21 years we've been having the D.A.R.E program in the Miamisburg City School District. And as I say each year, in my opinion, it's the best cooperation between the Miamisburg City School District and the City of Miamisburg. And we appreciate that cooperation. This is an important program. And there's a lot of people that are supporting you as you graduate today. I just want to comment about the parents. It's great to see so many parents and grandparents here that it makes a difference to these young people. You know, on the banner back there, it says, the Berg D.A.R.E, a partnership for a better community. A partnership. That's what makes Miamisburg great. You know, next year we're going to be celebrating our 200th anniversary as a community. And it's through these partnerships that Miamisburg has blossomed into the city that it is today. So we appreciate that, and we look forward to next year. I'd like to point out that Joe McKenzie from the Miami Valley Communications Council is on the camera back there today. You're going to be able to watch this graduation many, many times between now and the next Mark Twain graduation. Young people, I say the same thing every year, but it's worth saying. And it's even more important today because there are more challenges out there that you have to face up to. We now have it's not a new drug, but it's coming into its own in heroin. It's a deadly drug, as are all drugs. I say every year, you're going to be challenged. You're going to be challenged sometime in your life. It may be today, it might be next week, or it might be 10 years from now. But someone is going to ask you to do something that you know is wrong. And I hope that you'll look back at your D.A.R.E class and say, no, I'm not doing that. Just say no. And I'll promise you, if you say no, you're going to have a great rest of your life. Thank you. Thank you, Officer Dalton.
Next, we have Judge Ray.
I'm going to try to keep this brief today because I'm going to talk about peer pressure. When I was a young man, my mom used to say, Bob, if your friends jumped off the bridge, would you jump off too? Did your mom ever say that to you? Yes. Well, here's the problem. I have all kinds of people I see every day, and they're all jumping off the bridge. So I'm telling you to stand by the courage of your conviction, what you know to be right and wrong. You've got a great turnout of parents here today. Those parents have tried their best to instill in you what's right and what's wrong. And in your heart of hearts, you know what's right and wrong. Don't do what's wrong because a couple people beside you are going to. You have to stand up for what you personally know is right and do it. Now, it's never in the hard light of day that you have to make these kind of decisions. It's at night, and it's somewhere where maybe you shouldn't be, or in a basement somewhere. But I'm telling you, you have to do the right thing. You make the wrong choices, and it can come back to haunt you forever and ever, just like jumping off that bridge. So please, think of what you've learned in D.A.R.E. It's a decision-making model. Make the right choices, all right? That's all I ask. Now, if you have a friend of yours that's maybe not as good as you are at making decisions, would you maybe lean over and tell that friend, Bob or Sally or whatever their name is, I think you might be making a mistake. Would you reconsider? All right? Thank you.
Next, we have Chief Sedlak.
Good afternoon, dear graduates. Hey, congratulations. As the mayor and the judge has said before me, this is all about preparing you as you get older and you advance to the next phase of your lives in schooling. And what D.A.R.E is about in its basic principle is giving you information to make the right decisions. That's your toolbox. And you've gone through that all this entire year, and now you're graduating. The important thing about that toolbox, like any other toolbox, if you don't open it up and use the tools and the right tool at the proper time, the toolbox is worthless to you. The important thing is that you remember these decisions or the instructions that you've had. And when that time comes that the mayor talked about and the judge talked about, when that time comes, that's the time to employ some of the tactics or the strategies that you learned from Officer Doug and from your teachers and from other forums and people who have instructed you on how to make the right decisions. That is the important thing. So as you go forward, always rely on that. Be strong in your convictions. You know what's right and wrong. And utilize those approaches when the time comes to keep yourself safe. Okay? And with that, I wish you all a great summer. Have a good time.
Next, we have Dr. Vale. Good afternoon. It's certainly an honor for me to be here to represent Miamisburg City Schools on behalf of the administration, the Board of Education, and all the staff at Miamisburg City Schools. We want to congratulate you on completing this D.A.R.E program. You know, before you started school, you had some wonderful teachers, and those teachers are sitting behind you at home, wherever they may be. You had your parents, your grandparents, your brothers, sisters, aunts, and uncles that were your teachers, and they taught you a lot of things. They taught you right and wrong, good and bad. And then you started school, And you had some wonderful teachers here at Miamisburg teaching you everything you need to know about reading and writing and arithmetic and science and social studies. And again, right and wrong, good and bad. And one of our staff members is standing right over there, Officer Sherritts, and he's a continuation of our staff to teach you about what you need to do, the decisions you need to make. And all during your school year, you've talked about problem solving, decision making, and you need to continue that with, as Chief Sedlak said, Judge Reddick, Mayor Church said, use those supports that you have in place. You've got this great support system, rely on one another, help one another, and be there for each other, which is just as important, okay? So be a friend and help them get through any difficult time that they may have. So again, congratulations on graduating from the D.A.R.E program. Have a great last 5 or 6 days of school. I know you're not counting. And then I know that I think the teachers smiled bigger than the students did, but certainly have a great summer, and we'll see you next year at middle school. Good luck. And next, Tom Thompson.
Hello, guys. First of all, I'm 6'6". I had 3 or 4 people want to know over here, so let's just rule that out. Everybody over here knows now. Hey, I want to tell you guys first, I worked with Officer Sherritts for quite a few years as a police officer before he was D.A.R.E, and he is really, really a very good police officer. Very brave, very smart, good investigator. He's even funny and kind of cool. Is he still funny and cool? Yeah. Yeah? All right, all right. Anyways, I'm glad to be able to talk to you guys real briefly today. And I want to talk to you about something a little bit different than drugs, but it's something that you guys also learned about, and it's bullying. And how many of you guys heard the phrase before, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me? Who's heard that? Now, but it's not, names do hurt, don't they? I bet your parents sitting out there, I bet almost every single one of them can look back and remember when they were your age. How are you guys, like 15? 12, 11? Okay. They can remember back when they were your age, when somebody treated them bad or said something bad to them and it had a negative effect on them that lasts a lifetime. So, what I'm going to talk to you guys about, and real briefly, is treating each other right. It doesn't matter how tall you are, short you are, what color your skin is, how long or short your hair is. Every single one of you is very, very special, who has a very, very big upside. And you should be supporting each other, being nice to each other. If you see somebody being hateful or bad to somebody else, you need to address it. Tell them that's not right. If you need to go to a teacher, go to a teacher. But hopefully you don't need to do that, because hopefully you guys will end up just being good to each other. Because when people, these different decisions about drugs and other mistakes that kids make, they make these decisions a lot of times, and grown-ups do too, because they feel bad about themselves. So you guys play a very big, important role in making sure the person sitting next to you ends up being the best person they can be. And when you go into next year and the next year, treat everybody with respect, be good to each other, and always be uplifting to each other. Deal? All right. All right. Take care and have a good summer. I know your parents are jacked to have you around, so enjoy.
The last thing the students have to do in D.A.R.E class is write and read a D.A.R.E report to their classmates. Everyone you see seated here today completed that task, and we did select a few to share with you today, and we'll begin with Dalton Pribish.
I have learned a lot in D.A.R.E. You may be wondering, what is D.A.R.E? What is drug abuse, resistance, and education? It teaches you to make the best decisions and solve problems correctly. I've been in D.A.R.E for quite a while, and now it is time to write my D.A.R.E essay. This essay shows that we have learned over the many weeks of D.A.R.E, and I hope I can teach you more about it. First of all, I've learned that if you have a tough choice to make, you should use the D.A.R.E decision-making model. The letter D stands for define the situation. A stands for assess the choices and the consequences of them. R stands for respond or make a choice. And E stands for evaluate or review your decision. I also learned that alcohol, tobacco, and drugs are harmful to the human body. Did you know that 400,000 Americans die from tobacco-related causes each year? Also, 75,000 alcohol-related deaths happen each year in the U.S. too. Then, I learned how stress can be controlled. Many people show signs of stress, but you can think of a happy place, etc., to help calm yourself. Lastly, I learned about the 5 W's when being bullied. When an individual is constantly being bullied, they should tell a trusted adult the 5 W's. Who the bully is, what is going on, when the bullying is taking place, where the bullying is taking place, and why the bullying is taking place. The following sentences are some ways I'm using these skills. First, I use solutions to help me if I ever have stress, such as happy places and doing positive activities I enjoy. Also, I learned to stay away from peer pressure. Peer pressure is when a friend is pressuring you to do something that you don't want to do, like using alcohol, tobacco, and drugs. Or it can be a complete stranger. Finally, I used alcohol, tobacco, and drug resistance strategies. They are avoiding the situation, hang with non-users, walking away, saying no while giving a reasoned excuse, and changing the subject. These are some ways I can make the correct decisions in the future. To begin, I can use the D.A.R.E decision-making model for all sorts of problems when you need to make a choice. For example, you can use the D.A.R.E decision-making model for alcohol, tobacco, and drug resistance. Next, I will never be a bystander when I see bullying in progress. I need to help the target out by telling a trusted adult. I also wouldn't go alone if I ever was bullied because it can end if you tell a trusted adult. In conclusion, I have learned to stay away from alcohol, tobacco, and drugs in the future. I'll hang around non-users and stay away from users. D.A.R.E has taught me many things about drugs, bullying, stress, etc. I hope you have learned a few things as well.
Next, we have Lincoln Kroll.
The first thing I always ask myself when talking about alcohol or drugs is why start? In 5th grade at school, we've been learning about D.A.R.E, which stands for Drugs Alcohol Resistance Education. I'm Lincoln Kroll, and I will be telling you about D.A.R.E. First, I will be telling you what all I learned in D.A.R.E, then how I have used the D.A.R.E decision-making model, and finally how I plan to make safe decisions with what I learned in D.A.R.E. But in D.A.R.E, it's not just about drugs. It's also about telling you things about bullying, too. First, to get us started, here's a good fact. Did you know that there's more than 200 harmful chemicals in smoke? That's just another good reason not to smoke. Right now, I'm going to tell you what all I learned in D.A.R.E. To start off, I've learned in D.A.R.E that there are the 5 W's of reporting bullying. You should tell who is being bullied, what happened, when did it happen, where did it happen, and why did it happen. Next, I learned that there are different types of bullying: verbal, social, physical, and cyber. Verbal bullying is when a person is saying mean things right at someone. Social bullying is when you're kind of spreading mean rumors about someone. Physical bullying would be if someone pushed you or purposely bumped into you. And cyberbullying is when people say mean things on the internet. Now that we talked about bullying, it's time to start talking about alcohol and drugs. We learned how drugs and alcohol can affect the body, and that it's illegal to do either of these. There are also things like tobacco and smoke, which both have a lot of harmful chemicals. Also, alcohol can affect every important part of the body. Tobacco, almost everything. Last, I learned how to stay away from people like drug users. To do this, you stay away from places you know have people that are users. Hang around places with non-users and good friends. If someone asks you to maybe smoke, just say no and walk away. You could come up with a reason not to do drugs, or you could change the subject, like ask if the person wanted to play a game instead. Personally, the best thing to do first would be just to stay away from places like that in the first place if you could, and to just hang around non-users. I will tell you how I have used the DARE decision-making model. First of all, we've been looking at different situations. Sometimes it can be from peer pressure, sometimes from someone asking someone else to do drugs, or sometimes from different types of bullying. First, you would define the problem or challenge in the story. Then you would assess and go through all the options the troubled person could do. After that, you respond to show what you've done. Finally, you would evaluate to see if your decision was wise. Doing this, I try to think of what I personally would do, but I try to make sure I have a good choice. Adding on, we learn pause, another strategy in the DARE decision-making model. You would use this mainly when having signs of stress. This would work if you pause and do or say something to yourself when stressed out. For instance, take deep breaths to stay calm. You could also do good hobbies that you like maybe a fun sport you're interested in. So whenever I get stressed out, I try to remember the pause strategy we just talked about, and I do something I like. Also, there are the communication styles in DARE: unsure, demanding, and confident. If you are stating your opinion unsure, then people will keep pressuring you to be on their side. If you're demanding and yelling at people, then people might get mad at you and start fights, and you don't want that. So I will try to make sure I stay confident when stating my opinion. The last reason I use the DARE decision-making model is when we learned about resistance strategies I talked about earlier. I now know how to stay away from any places with people like drug dealers and hang out around good friends that are non-users. And if someone were to come and ask me if I want some drugs or alcohol, then I know strategies that we talked about for keeping them away. Now I will be telling you about how I plan to make good, safe choices with what I learned in DARE. First of all, to make safe decisions, I will, whenever I see someone get bullied, get to an adult and tell he or her the 5 W's about bullying. I will make sure I don't confront the bully because, as I learned in DARE, that can lead to bad things. Also, I will not write anything mean on the internet. I won't start mean rumors about someone. I won't say any mean things right at someone. And I won't physically hurt nor any other types of bullying. I will always be confident when stating my opinion about drugs so people know that they're not going to be able to get to me and change my mind or get mad at me. Lastly, to be safe, I will always remember what we talked about in DARE and stay away from people with drugs. I won't get bribed into alcohol or drugs, and if someone asks me, I will just walk away till they finally go away. So that's all from DARE. Now here's a conclusion to wrap it up. I've learned a lot in DARE, and I hope this really benefits me in life one day. I pledge to stay away from drugs my whole life, and I hope the people that heard me read this will benefit from it too, because they now know reasons not to do them. Also, bullying can be very bad too. If you ever bullied someone, then you should think about how they feel. If you got bullied, you know how bad that feels. Thank you, Officer Doug, for teaching me all I know about drugs and alcohol resistance education. And remember, always keeping it real.
Next, we have Hallie Holtzman.
Is 20 minutes of thrills worth a lifetime of pills? DARE has 2 meanings. One is define, assess, respond, and evaluate. The other meaning is drugs abuse resistant education. DARE teaches you how to not do bad things like underage drinking, smoking, or drugs. Hi, my name is Hallie Holtzman. Today I'll be explaining how DARE can help you when you are in trouble of these consequences. The first thing I'll be talking about is what I've learned in DARE. First, what I've learned in DARE, it is not good to smoke, drink, or do drugs. Next, I'll be talking about alcohol. It is illegal for anyone under the age of 21. It is proven that most teens do not drink. There are 75,000 alcohol-related deaths each year in the U.S. Alcohol can slow down the brain and body, so the effects include loss of coordination, poor judgment, memory loss, loss of self-control, and slow reflexes. Then another thing I have learned, it is not good to smoke either. Cigarettes contain nicotine, a powerful addictive substance. Smoking is the leading preventable cause of deaths in the country. Nicotine in cigarettes and chewing tobacco reduces the amount of blood that flows to the brain. Smoking can cause heart disease. Smokers have more colds and upper respiratory problems. Smoking can cause lung cancer. Chewing tobacco can cause mouth cancer, tooth loss, and other health problems. Smoking can yellow your teeth and cause bad breath. And finally, dry your skin and cause wrinkles. Last, drugs are any substance other than food that takes away your mind. Using drugs can have a result to having health effects. D.A.R.E decision-making model. First, I'm going to describe how to use D.A.R.E decision-making model. The first thing you do is define. Define means the problem, challenge, or opportunity. You need to use that by seeing what is going on with someone or something. Next, assess. Is what your choices are and what are the consequences of each choice. For example, if you have a cheer game but you're invited to a birthday party, that is where assess comes in and you have to make a decision. Go to the party or go to cheer. If I had to choose, I would go to cheer and then after I would go to the party. Then respond. Make a choice. Use the facts and information that you have gathered. So I would go to cheer because everybody is depending on me, and then after cheer I would go to the party. Last, evaluate. Review your decision. Did you make the right choice? I think I made a right choice. How I plan to use D.A.R.E in the future. First, how I plan to use D.A.R.E in the future is by not to drink, smoke, or do drugs. Next, peer pressure. I will not let my peers or anybody around my age try to make me do something I do not want to do. Then, stress. You will need to keep calm. Stress is any strain, pressure, or excitement felt about a situation or an event. Last, bullying. You will need to tell somebody that you trust like an adult. Bullying is an aggressive or unwanted behavior used again and again to isolate, harm, or control another person. D.A.R.E has taught me so much time. D.A.R.E can teach kids and adults. It is good to follow D.A.R.E because it will help you to understand not to do any of these things like I've talked about. But there is so much more to learn about except for smoke, drink, or do drugs. Thank you for listening.
And lastly, we have Lexi Hallie.
You're free to choose, but you're not free to alter the consequences of your decisions, as Taft Benson once said. In D.A.R.E, we learned about how to resist drugs, smoking, and alcohol. Also, what the consequences are and how they can affect your life if you were to choose to do these things. Today, I will be informing you about what I have learned in D.A.R.E, how I've used the D.A.R.E decision-making model in my own life, and how I plan to use what I have learned in D.A.R.E to make safe and responsible choices. I have learned a lot in D.A.R.E. The first thing I learned is that there are 75,000 related deaths each year because of alcohol, and more than 400,000 deaths each year because of tobacco-related causes. Secondly, I have learned that if I am in stress, to use different breathing techniques, to think positive thoughts, or do an activity that helps me relieve stress. Also, I have learned what the 5 W's are. The 5 W's are who, what, when, where, and why. You can use the 5 W's when you need to report a problem or situation. Next, I learned what the D.A.R.E decision-making model is and how it'll help me make better choices in life, and what I want to say or do is the best move. The D.A.R.E decision-making model is D for define, A for assess, R for respond, E for evaluate. To conclude the list, I learned that smoking can cause heart disease, mouth cancer, and wrinkles. I have used the D.A.R.E decision-making model in my own life when I'm arguing with siblings, so I'll tell you one example of an argument to show you how I have used the D.A.R.E decision-making model. Firstly, let's say that my siblings' names are Stephanie and John, so I'm not saying my siblings' real names. So we 3 are all at home and we want to be on the TV. Stephanie wants to watch her favorite show, John wants to play video games, and I want to as well play video games. So I had to define what my problem was. I figured out that my problem is that Stephanie, John, and myself all want to get on the TV. Then I had to assess my choices. I came up with that I could walk away and do something else, or to get up and yell that I'm going to get on the TV no matter what they think about it, or to compromise and do something on the TV everyone will want to do. Next, I had to respond by making a choice, and I chose that I should just walk away from the problem. Also, I had to evaluate my decision, making sure it was the best choice. Lastly, I agreed with my decision and walked away from the situation. I plan to use what I have learned in D.A.R.E to help me make the safe and responsible choices by first off avoiding where I know that there will be people that usually smoke, drink alcohol, or do drugs. Also, I will make sure to hang out with non-users. Next, I will try to change the subject in case someone asks if I want to smoke a cigarette, etc. For example, if so-and-so came up and said, "Do you want to smoke?" I would say, "How about we play basketball instead?" Or I will walk away from the problem. To end with, I will make sure that I use the D.A.R.E decision-making model to think about which one of these options would be best in the situation I would be in. D.A.R.E sure was a big impact on me. I now know much more about resisting drugs, smoking, and alcohol. I sure will use those things I have learned in D.A.R.E to help me in future problems and situations. Thank you, Officer Doug.
All of you guys did a great job on your D.A.R.E reports, and those four are just a small example of that. The last group of people I'd like to thank today are the ones that make my job as the D.A.R.E officer very easy, and that's the staff here at Mark Twain. That begins with your principal, Mrs. Lee Marker. And the 5th grade teachers, Mrs. DeMont, Mrs. Eaton, and Mr. Randolph. It's now time for you to receive your certificates, and we will begin with Mrs. DeMont's class.
All right, Kendra Begley. Wyatt Benton. Ava Duffy. Bella Farlino. Kaylee Griffin. Lincoln Kroll. Gracie Lambert. Kira Lewis. Yakut Mamouche. Dalton Pribish. Chris Roush. Logan Reinhardt. Josh Tennant. Adam Williams. And Alex Zook.
Thank you.
Have a good summer.
Next we have Mrs. Eaton's class.
Okay, we can start with Maggie Arnett. Atlanta Chambers.
Have a great summer.
Brooke Chapin.
Have a great summer.
Jaden Cochran.
Have a great summer.
Brooklyn Cotton.
Have a great summer.
Angelo Eldridge.
Have a great summer.
Aiden Fisher.
Nice to see you. Have a great summer.
Ariana Graham.
Have a great summer.
James Hill.
Have a great summer.
Aaron Hoffman.
Have a great summer.
Ethan Kiefaber.
Have a great summer. Great Sierra.
Brendan McCormick.
Have a great summer.
Shannon Miller.
Have a great summer.
Kiki Negron Cruz,
Have a great summer.
Benjamin Roselle,
Have a great summer.
Taylor Russell,
Have a great summer.
and Colin Smith.
Have a great summer. Congratulations. Have a great summer.
And Mr. Randolph's class.
First, we have Marissa Alcorn, Wesley Cox,
Have a great summer.
Megan Dorr,
Have a great summer.
Samantha Ernst,
Have a great summer.
Skylar Gregerson,
Have a great summer.
Caden Hicks,
Have a great summer.
Lexi Holland,
Have a great summer.
Hallie Holtzman,
I really like to see. Have a great summer.
Bradley Matthews, Shauna Pauley,
Have a great summer.
Keegan Pickering,
Have a great summer.
Abby Riffle,
Have a great summer.
David Reisner,
Have a great summer.
Baylor Stickle,
Have a great summer.
and Aiden Walker.
Have a great summer. Have a great summer. Nice boot.
All right, the last thing we'll do as part of our graduation is I have a short little video to show you of classes here at Mark Twain.
right, boys and girls, before Officer Doug closes us out, we owe him a great deal of gratitude for the amount of work and the dedication and the enthusiasm he shows just to hang out with the kids at recess. That's pretty awesome. So let's give him a round of applause for that.
All right, once again, I had a great time this year here at Mark Twain. Let's give the graduates one last round of applause. Everyone have a safe summer, and I'll see you next year in 6th grade. Thank you guys all for coming.